freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 338 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is How I Carry, and our guest is Tara Kraft. Tara is a firearms instructor, blogger, and Second Amendment advocate who shares her experiences as a female gun owner on various social media platforms. Tara began her Instagram account, How I Carry, as a way to document the challenges of learning to carry a concealed firearm, which led to her and her husband founding Gen 2 Training LLC to offer beginner classes in the rural community. She is a member of the DC Project and Virginia Citizens Defense League, and Tara believes that Second Amendment rights are for everybody and encourages everyone to advocate for the right to bear arms.
Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So this is so exciting for me because I have been enjoying your Instagram videos for quite some time, and they're always so clever. And we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into that. But I want to kind of start at the start. You know, you, like so many of us, just were kind of passively enjoying your Second Amendment rights. And now you are much more vocal about it. Walk us through that journey. Was there like a flashpoint at some place, or was it just a natural progression?
For me, it was sort of a natural progression. I've always had firearms in my life. My dad had his FFL when I was growing up. My cousins owned a local gun shop for years now, and I've always owned firearms ever since I had my first apartment. But I've always also enjoyed a very comfortable life. And so I've never really had to think about my right to own firearms. I never really even thought about actually needing to use one for anything. And so after I began posting on social media, once I got my concealed carry permit, and I began to connect with other people, I know We the Female, Carrie Sloan, kind of introduced me to the idea of supporting the right to self-defense for domestic violence victims, and also for survivors of assault, and for people from different walks of life. People from countries where they did not have the right to bear arms, like Hong Kong, watching them try to fight for their rights with umbrellas and things like that, really kind of opened my eyes to where I thought, I need to do something, but what do I do? Fast forward to Lobby Day 2020 in Virginia, because I'm from Virginia. I kept seeing all of these beautiful ladies in teal t-shirts, and it was the DC Project. And so I immediately was interested in that and signed up for that, and the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and started learning about the importance of calling and writing our legislators, letting them know who we are, going to Lobby Day, speaking up for ourselves. And now that I've done all that, I kind of want to help other people along on that journey. I want to introduce people to the firearms community and to make it a positive experience, to make them a part of our community to where they want to advocate for their rights too.
That's awesome, Terry. You know, I see we've been doing the show for a couple of years now, and there are so many people that have never had guns in their life, and then they
Absolutely
have something really bad happen to them.
Yeah,
It's too bad there's not a way to get to the people before they have this happen, so they're prepared for whatever. But thank you for what you're doing.
thank you.
Absolutely. So your videos, as I mentioned, are they're clever and they're effective, and they're like 30 seconds long. And I love that because I am very verbose. It seems like if I have a 5-minute limit on a speech, I've got to squeak out 6 minutes somehow. So I really admire how much you can fit in such a short amount of time. And you put one up that was set to the music of Hard Knock Life. And it just particularly struck me as, you hit some very important points regarding obstacles that face brand new gun owners. And they were things like, and we'll let you run through it. It's, brand snobs, right? And stereotypes. And what else did I write on your list there? Rude comments. And, I think
that's guy stuff.
Is it guy stuff? That's the question to Tara.
Yeah.
Like, where are you seeing these?
I think it's guy stuff. Back in the day when I was younger, that's many moons ago, but it was guys were involved with guns. Women were not really involved with guns. And so I'm seeing that women are overtaking the whole industry, which is awesome. I want to say publicly, because women know how to social media. They know how to talk to other people. They get people involved where guys are kind of on their own. But I think it's these guys that don't want to let go of their beliefs harassing the new people.
And perhaps, and I do want to throw that to Tara, and was there a specific comment or a specific moment that made you say this video needs to be made? Or was it, kind of a one thing stacking on top of the other?
There was one moment that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Ever since I've been involved in social media and posted about firearms, I've seen kind of the ugly side, but I'm really good at just keeping scrolling, if I don't have anything nice to say. But, and to be honest, the women are not immune to it. The thing that was the catalyst for me to make the video actually occurred in a women's Facebook group.
Really?
And someone had posted something like, if you're not carrying this brand or this brand or this brand, then you just have junk and you shouldn't be carrying it all. And I thought, okay. And one of the first comments was a young lady, and she said, hey, I'm new to this community. I don't really know. I have this brand. What's wrong with it? And just the way that she was completely shut down in the comments. And it just led to her saying, hey, I thought this was going to be a good place for me to learn, but maybe I don't belong here. And she left. And to me, there are so many people now that are owning firearms, that are starting to conceal carry, that never even dreamed they would even own a firearm. But over the past couple of years, events have led people to purchase guns who never thought that they would. And it's such a fragile time. And it just takes so little to discourage people and to maybe make them put it down and walk away and, never give it a try. And so it really just struck a nerve with me. And I was actually settled in for the night when I saw that comment. And I immediately just got up and made that reel just really quickly and posted it. And it just kind of took off.
Well, was it one of your better viewed, your highest views?
It is. It's my highest one of all time. Yeah. And it just really resonated with people because I think a lot of people were experiencing the same things.
Absolutely. And, everyone has a day one at something. And it just boggles my mind at how we kind of put up these barriers to other people who are having their day one. Why do you think it seems so difficult to promote acceptance and education without shaming newcomers? Like, you can say, hey, it's important to index your finger. You can say that in a positive and helpful way. But so often I hear that the negative side of you're dangerous, you're incompetent, you're an idiot, these kinds of things. Why do you think this is so difficult?
I really think it's emotionally driven. I think that people are naturally competitive. I think they want to be a part of a group. And sometimes I think they just feel a need to prove themselves and to want to belong. And I think sometimes there's just a lot of egos involved in the firearms community. And I think people sometimes feel threatened. But I have noticed my experiences in real life are vastly different than my experiences online. That when I'm actually at the range, at a shooting competition, or at a class, that the people that are actually there and training and putting in work, or people who are actively advocating for the Second Amendment, are much more accepting. They're very welcoming. They're just very happy to see someone there. I've finished last in competitions and I didn't die, and everyone was so nice and no one cared. And they were just so welcoming and happy that I was there. And I kind of think that the ones who are making these comments on social media are not the ones that are out there putting in work at the range. They're not the ones that are out there educating or advocating for our rights.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I feel that I've had the same experience. I just took a very intensive week-long training for a program called Faster Saves Lives. And they have a very high standard for your qualification. And so I didn't do well. I didn't qualify. And I was, internally beating myself up like crazy. And I'm surrounded by other people that are, professional trainers themselves. They are competitive shooters. Some are brand new people because the Faster Saves Lives program teaches, faculty and staff schools emergency training. And so some people that are newer at this than I am, and they qualified. And I just was kind of, oh gosh, how is this going to go? How is this going to play out? And in that setting with these people, there was no shaming. There was only encouragement, and there was only, hey, it's okay. This is your first try at this. Let's do it again. And I thought, boy, if everybody could have that kind of experience, it's like shaming your 1.5-year-old or however old that they can't walk yet. Would you ever do that? Or would you just keep encouraging, hey, try again. And so then that helped internalize for me that, these people who are at the top of their game and they're amazing. And even people who are, don't have the level of experience that I have had, to be able to extend that grace and that courtesy and that kindness to me, it just helps me say, you know what, I am going to try again. I am going to stand up and try again. And then the flip side of that is, sometimes it's good to skin your knee. Sometimes it's good to realize, okay, there's some things I've got to work on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I was 15 in shop, the shop teacher says, does anybody know how to turn this machine off?
Oh.
And I said, I'll do it. And I did it wrong.
Uh-huh.
And they really got on me about it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I wish that, it still bothers me. I'm a little older than 15 now, but I still remember that. And, the people that come in to learn how to shoot, a lot of them feel like they have to. They don't want to, but they have to. Mm-hmm. And they want to do it right. I mean, Cheryl, you should have seen her 2 weeks before taking this class that she talked about. Every second. And she went and she got training for
I was nervous.
Every weekend she went and got training, and she still, and it's like, it's good to be worried and it's good to focus on things, but you got to relax. You got to,
that's true. But, and Tara and her husband train newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if people are not, kind of concerned and trying to do their best, that might not be your best student.
No. Right. Mm-hmm.
But you also want people that can receive, can fail and receive new instruction.
Yes.
What is your, what is your typical experience with newcomers? Do you have people that kind of feel like, well, I should already know this, and they beat themselves up, or most people like, I am a blank slate, tell me whatever I need to know?
We have a lot of people. We actually have a lot of women. Probably more than half of our students are women that have zero experience, and they're hesitant to take the class. They're hesitant to take that step. And they say, you don't understand. I don't know anything. And we're like, that's fine. We're going to teach you. No, but I don't know anything. And they really want to learn the right way. Yeah. And they're actually my favorite students because they're the best students. They want to learn, they listen, and they do what you tell them to do. And they end up shooting very well by the end of the day. And we'll have women come in. I've had one lady in particular, she did not even want to touch we have a little laser gun that we use in the classroom. She didn't even want to touch it. And I thought, oh my goodness. But once we got her to, she just kind of picked it up and took her shot and threw it down and said, okay, I did it. And we said, no, we're going to do it again. And we just worked with her, and she just actually told us she almost canceled and didn't even come because she was so afraid of coming. But by the end of the day, she was out there shooting like a pro, clearing malfunctions. She did such a great job. And she was like, hey, this is fun. I didn't know this could be fun. And that's the best feeling.
And I guess the best way
That's
to know you're a
amazing.
good instructor is how many people take the class and still want to do shooting, still want to be
Yes.
involved. And I
Yes.
would be willing to bet you're probably at 100%.
Oh, I hope so. I sure hope so.
Yeah, because I mean, the old way you give them the biggest gun to shoot and you scare them, and
Yes.
that obviously it didn't work, and it was a stupid way to think.
Mhm.
But now you just gradually teach them, and it makes it nice.
Absolutely. So one of the things that in your Hard Knock Life video you have on the screen is about stereotyping. And, this might be a newsflash to some people, but with gun ownership on the rise, especially with it on the rise, it is more obvious than ever that there is no typical gun owner. The stereotypes, absolutely, if they ever really did work, they don't anymore. So talk to us about that. What are you seeing in that stereotype breaking phenomena that's going on?
Yes, we love to categorize people, don't we? And you really, just because someone owns a gun, sometimes people think they know everything about them, but you just don't. I mean, for our classes, we've had a woman who was hesitant to come because she said, is it going to be a bunch of guys in tactical gear? And are we just going to talk about the NRA the whole time? No, we're not. And, we've had everything from students to retirees. We've had healthcare workers, teachers, and we just had people from all walks of life in our class. And you really just can't put gun owners in a box. There is no typical gun owner. There are so many, just such a diverse group, and people are really coming into the gun community. I know what really brought it home for me is when my husband and I went to the 2A rally in Washington, D.C., where we saw you speak there. And, we kind of thought it was going to be a bunch of people just like us, but we could not have been more wrong. It was people from all backgrounds. The Second Amendment meant something to them for different reasons. And it was just wonderful seeing everybody come together. And I love how diverse the gun community is.
It's so true. And I think we get lazy with the word diversity. And a lot of times we think that it only has to do with things we can see with our eyes, like skin color or gender, or, something of that nature. But it really is a diversity of life experience, right? And backgrounds. And I mean, it is every man, it is every woman, this gun community. Do you think we can even call it a community? I struggle with that a little bit. The gun culture, the gun community. Certainly we have, certain things that we absolutely, enjoin together and stand on. But with so much diversity, what do you think about that? That is there a culture? Is there a community?
I also struggle using that word. I actually used it in my Hard Knock Life post, and I almost didn't because I thought it's not really a community. It's almost like an ecosystem with everything working together. And sometimes the only common ground we do have is the Second Amendment, and we need to learn to connect, based on that and work towards that one goal. And sometimes that's hard when everyone is so different and comes from so many different backgrounds. But I think if we don't do that, then we're going to lose ground. So I think we really need to focus on that.
I love that ecosystem. I'm going to think on that because I really have, I was interviewed by and then interviewed a lady who was writing her dissertation on, the gun culture. And then she said, the more that she interviewed people, the more that she did that work, the more she realized, man, this really, does it fit the definition of a culture or a community? And so it's just been one of those things that I'm like, but if it's not, then what do we call it? Because we love our labels, right?
Oh, yes.
So if I own a car and she owns a car, are we in a car community? Is it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's kind of a way of life that I don't know, but it's really not a community. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Just because I
like
have a
it.
car and you have a car doesn't mean we're in a car community.
That's true. It's a tool, right?
Right.
And so many of us have tools, but we're not Tim the tool guy or whatever. So you have stated that you won't lose your gun in a boating accident. Now, again, for somebody who's brand new to this whole world of owning these tools, that phrase is nonsensical. What are we talking about? Losing our guns in a boating accident? And you've put that on your Hard Knock Life video as well. Talk to us about that phrase.
Okay. I know when I was new to social media and the firearms community or ecosystem or way of life, I saw these boating accident jokes and I thought, why are people talking about losing their guns in a boating accident? So I Google everything, and it comes from a true story where an ATF agent lost his gun in a lake in the 90s, and the lake dried up, and I think it was 2014, and they found his gun and badge. And it was kind of a joke because nothing was done to him. He was still actively working for the ATF at the time. But then it kind of morphed into this joke about hiding your guns from the government. And that if they call, come and take our guns, that they're going to say, oh, I lost them in a boating accident. And, I get the joke and it's funny, but I think some people really take it seriously. And I've had people comment, you shouldn't advertise that you own guns. You shouldn't tell people that you support the Second Amendment. And I thought, my legislators know I support the Second Amendment because I make sure they know. I'm calling them and I'm writing them, and you better be too. And I think we really need to normalize gun ownership, and we can't do that if we're going to hide them. And if we feel like we can't let people know that we own guns, we're not going to be out of the range. We're not going to be teaching new people to shoot. We're not going to pass down that tradition to generations to come. And I think right now our rights are protected by the Second Amendment, and I think we need to act like it. And if we can't, then we've already lost.
See, there you go.
Beautiful.
Tara, that's the thing. When I was younger, we were told, do not talk about guns. Do not say you have guns. Don't put the NRA sticker on your truck. Don't talk about guns. So now we go fast forward to women getting involved in guns. They talk about guns. And I do agree with you. Instead of saying we lost our gun in a boating accident, say, I just found 30 guns in the bottom of the lake and I cleaned them up and they work fine. Right. And because if we don't voice that we own guns, then the other side's going to win.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That is beautifully said.
I'm gonna go to the lake and start looking.
Yeah, right. Metal detect in a lake. I don't know. So one of your other videos that you put up just recently, it's really quick, it's really short, but it's using the song Don't Stop Believing. And who is the artist on that? I forget. Journey, that's right. And so describe that video for us, because I thought that was pretty clever.
So I'm in the gun store quite frequently because my cousin owns it and I see him often. And when I'm there, lots of times there are women in there who bring their uncle, cousin, brother, whatever, and they're going to pick out a gun for them. And all the time, especially if I'm trying to fill out my paperwork to buy a gun, I'm like distracted because they're like, well, look at this little tiny thing. Look at this. And I'm just thinking, you're not going to like that. You're not going to like that. And so I think that when you do go to buy a firearm, it's good to take someone who really knows, or to see an instructor, or to try to shoot them first, because I think if you start out with a little gun that's going to be hard to shoot, or something that's going to actually hurt you to shoot or be very unpleasant, you're not going to keep shooting. And, we've had a lot of students show up that they have this little gun in a box that someone gave them. And by the end of class, they're like, okay, I need another gun. I don't like this one. And, I hate to see that because it's a big investment to do that. So we always try to have like a 22 or something that's easy to shoot to kind of introduce people in a gentle way to where it's enjoyable and they can just have fun and learn. So I think it's really important to start out on the right foot with the firearm that's best for you.
Absolutely. And so the video is, the words on the screen are something like, how do I buy my wife or my girlfriend a gun? And then you just say, don't.
Yeah.
It's like, don't stop believing. So it's don't, just don't. Like buy them a gift certificate or something. But, I've seen people come in, with way too big of guns because it was just what their husband had or whatever. And then, like you said, the tiny little guns that, okay, they're cute. They are super cute. I love them, but not to shoot, because all that energy that would have been absorbed by, having a larger frame that really fits your hands. Well, now your joints are absorbing it, and they're very painful sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. The best thing my husband did when I decided to get my concealed carry permit was to take me to a range where I could rent guns. And I wanted one of those little guns thinking it would be easy to carry. And I maybe fired 3 rounds out of it and said, no, that's not for me.
No thanks.
Yeah, when we had our gun shop, if a guy came in with a woman and he was trying to show her how to use a gun, we would just say, here's a coloring book, go to the corner. Because there are so many people that just because it feels good to you doesn't mean it feels good to her. And
Right.
we tell people, hey, go to the range, rent a gun, borrow a gun from somebody, and feel comfortable with what you have. Because that was another thing back in the day. We used to tell people what they needed to have, and it's like me going to buy a purse for her. There's no way I'd do it.
Don't do
No
it.
way. I did it once, and it went
Listen
bad.
to Journey.
Yeah.
Listen to Journey. Don't do it.
But anyway, so yeah, it's you got to get what's comfortable to you.
Mhm.
For sure. And, even the style of shooting that you do makes a difference. So with this training that I was doing, I tried several different guns over the course of a few weeks leading up to it, because I don't normally open carry. So I don't normally draw from a holster. And then when you're doing mag drops and reloads, well, this one gun, it kept pinching my hand every time I would go to reload it. And it's like, after about 20 times, I've had it, so even things like that are important to consider. And you as a trainer, you've probably experienced that.
Yes. And I think as a gun store owner, if someone comes in and says, hey, I want to buy a gun, probably one of the first things you're going to ask is, well, what are you going to do with it? What's it for? And that makes a difference. I think a lot of people assume that every gun I post about or every gun that someone owns is for self-defense or concealed carry. And it's not. It really does depend on what you want to use it for.
Sure.
Absolutely. Well, this has been wonderful. And I encourage everybody to hit pause right now and go to Instagram and find your page on there, your thread on there, and tell folks also all the different ways that they can follow the work that you're doing.
Okay. Yes, I'm mostly on Instagram, but I'm on Facebook and I'm on TikTok, and all of those you can find me under How I Carry, which it's not very creative, but it's an easy name to remember. And also I have a blog on my website, and it's howicarry.com.
Absolutely. And the blog is really, really rich with information. I really encourage everybody to get there and check that out. But Tara, thank you so much for all that you do and for taking time today to be with us on Gun Freedom Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Pushing the wrong buttons over here. All right. Very good. Well, I just think that she's so clever with what she does. And like I said, you don't have to have an hour-long podcast to give a good and educational message. She does it in these 30-second videos, and pretty much always set to music. And I just think it's very, very important that we have a wide variety of people that we're getting information from. And especially when we're trying to share information with others, to get somebody to sit down and watch an entire episode.
That ain't gonna happen with me. No, it's like,
but you would have 30 seconds to watch Tara's.
Right. If I don't get something really quick, you'll see, they're going to teach you how to do something, and I'll look, and I have to speed it up. You have to go up to where the point is, because I don't need to know all the basic stuff. I want to know how to do that. And so I can understand that. I'm going to watch that video as soon as we're done with this on the air.
Brevity, there's a lot to be said for brevity. I enjoy being able to take deep dives into, conversations the way that we do on the podcast. So I think there's a place for both.
Yep.
But, especially I see a lot of videos on Instagram where there's like a minute and a half of lead up. Like, you aren't going to believe this thing that this person said, and it's explosive, and it's the most inflaming.
Sort of like news, huh? Fake news.
Right. I'm like, stop describing it and just show it to
Right.
me, And a lot of times, like you said, I lose interest before I get there because the hyperbole of it actually kind of leaves me cold. But the way that Tara does her videos, they're just, I mean, it's amazing to me how you just are instantly relating to what she's saying. And, we've all been new, even if you're not a new gun owner, you've been new at something. And then when you see those, brand snob or, some kind of snobbery, it's like, yeah, that feels really bad when that
Right.
happens. And
Yeah, I carry a gun that a lot of people would say it's stupid to carry, but I carry it because I feel comfortable with it.
Mhm.
And if you don't feel comfortable with whatever, you're not going to perform as well as you will if you feel comfortable with it.
Mhm.
And you go out and you train with the gun that you're going to carry, and you learn its limitations, and you work from there, right?
Absolutely.
But I really want to thank Tara, because it's like every person that she touches causes a wave of more learning and more involvement. And you teach somebody well, then they're going to tell somebody else,
Mhm.
and then they're going to get the encouragement to do something. Whereas if you teach them by being scared and going that route where it's not fun, then they're going to keep it into themselves.
Right.
and not go anywhere with it. So
true. It's so true. We get those shaming messages in our minds, and that's going to impact the next time somebody
sure.
takes the time, takes the money, goes to the range. They're going to have all that negative stuff clogging up their brain. And instead you could be encouraging,
Right.
you could give a positive message and still a teaching message. And I think we do probably need more of that. Sometimes people say we don't need the anti-rights people to beat us up, because
Right. So
we do a pretty darn good job of that on our own. But then the other thing I do want to say real quick is that when you and I came into this place of, the podcast, it was a radio show originally. It's gone through several iterations. It is now a podcast. We were amazingly welcomed into, we would ask people if they would interview with us. We're brand new out of the box several years ago. Our very first guest was Dr. Ken Blanchard, Reverend Ken Blanchard. And he said yes. I mean, that
Right.
was amazing to
and so
me.
that was he was teaching us that we were welcome in the community, and that we could move forward
Yes.
and without any blocks.
Yes. And even if I had flubbed the interview, I still had that positive experience of somebody, of his stature, of his experience, saying, yes, he would
Right.
trust me. And so I use that to be bold to ask the next person. So, there is a lot of good, and like attracts like for the most part. And so the lady that Tara was describing, who, was asking a very reasonable question. Okay, this is what I carry. Like, what's like specifically,
Right.
teach me specifically what's wrong with it. And if there's really nothing wrong with it, well, what is your preference versus my preference?
Right.
And that's a lot of times what it really comes down to.
Right. So the instructor would say, well, that is not my particular gun that I would carry, but why do you want to carry that gun? How does it feel, and how does it feel to you? But I just wanted to say, okay, so there are families, a man and wife and a husband, and the husband may not want to get involved in guns. And so the woman goes out and she gets training, and she gets negative training. She's not going to introduce that to her husband in a positive way. Whereas if she comes in there with the positive training and teaching, right, and learning, then she's going to go to her husband and say, hey, maybe this is for you too. You should probably get involved with this. So I encourage, and there are a lot of really, really good male instructors out there.
Absolutely.
There are. And I mean, I can't name how many I know. There's so many that take you from a blank slate and move at your pace. And that's super important. But I also know some that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
That's true.
Because they look at me, learn from me, do as I say. There is no other way.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's, I mean, maybe there are some students that learn best in that way. I particularly don't,
No,
but
no, don't scare me into learning.
I have had some incredibly wonderful experiences. Mike Abramovich is, I
He's
like
an
this.
angel.
He is, and he's tough. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's no nonsense, but he's also he's intuitive, and he has such a heart of a teacher. And when I say he's tough and he's no nonsense, I mean that's about the safety.
Right.
You know, there's no pointing the gun in the wrong direction, but he's not going to yell at me and scold me. He will, be there and instruct properly, and model
He'll
what he
instruct
does.
you before you touch that gun. He's going to instruct you in a way that you don't have to worry about. You're going to point the gun in the wrong direction because you're going to know before you do it.
Right.
You're not going to say,
So,
hold this gun, go
yeah.
shoot it, and then yell at them about how they're not doing it right.
Yeah. And
You can teach you
so,
ahead of time.
and so Mike has been the instructor to the instructors for the Well-Armed Women for many years. And, as Mike has started to, kind of, ease more into retirement a little bit, he has very, very effectively handed me off to David Laird. Now, these are both guys that teach here in Arizona, so I'm very fortunate that we all live here in Arizona, and I get to have this quality of instruction. But David Laird owns Dynamic Combative Solutions, and he's, him and his team are that same like-mindedness and that teacher spirit. And, to be able to watch people instruct on the same day, on the same line, somebody who's, been shooting for a million years and they just need a minor little tweak here or there on maybe their grip or something, to somebody who's brand new and it's their first day, and they might be the one that, doesn't know, which end of the gun the projectile comes out of. To be able to watch people be able to instruct all of them in a very calm and caring and rational and safe way, that is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
That's, I think, the kind of instructor everybody should look for. So if you like the drill instructor kind of, persona, okay, that wouldn't be best for me, and it wouldn't be somebody that I take somebody brand new to. So it is important to look for the right kind of instructor, right?
Yep, it sure is.
So, all right. Well, with that, I think we will start winding up, wrapping up. Thank you so much to Tara for making her videos and reaching out to people in that way, a very non-threatening way, but very poignant way. Thank you so much to our awesome listeners all over the world. If there is internet, we have listeners, and you could be doing anything with your time. You could be anywhere. The fact that you spend your time with us and learning from our subject matter experts, that's everything. Your time is your most finite commodity. And when you spend it with us, it's noticed, it's valued, and we thank you.
Right. But before, can I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah.
We always end this with prayers for politicians and all this other stuff. Can we skip that today?
No.
Oh my gosh.
We need it more than ever.
I know we do, but it's like, it's so bad right now.
And that's why we need it more than ever. We are sitting in the studio on Monday, August 16th of 2021. And I believe it was just yesterday that Afghanistan fell into the hands of the Taliban.
Yes.
And
it's like,
it's a rough moment in history for all the people that, fought, all of the U.S. troops over there that fought, all the diplomats, all the people that tried to introduce freedom and implement freedom and hold the line of offering freedom, because the Taliban is, for everything I've read, I mean, I'm no expert, but from everything I've read, freedom is not their
right.
watchword.
And for all of the people that were there assisting the United States, they're in such dire need right now. Mm-hmm. Because if the Taliban knows that they were involved with the United States, mm-hmm. they're going to kill them all. Mm-hmm. And by torture, the whole works. And so we do need to pray. But before we go into the prayer thing, then how about a shout out to the town of Pine, Arizona? We were there this weekend, went to Pine. And I want to tell you, there is so many God-loving, America-loving, good gun-owning people in that town.
Responsibly armed
Responsibly
citizens.
owned, yes. And it's like, what a refreshing thing that was. Everywhere we went, it was awesome.
Mhm.
So thank you, Pine, Arizona.
Absolutely. That was a wonderful little getaway. And also, if you would like to, if you've missed any portion of today's video or want to watch any of our others and you like the video version, you can go to the Ops Lens smartphone app. You can go to gunstreamer.com, which is very much like a freedom-loving YouTube, and of course YouTube, as long as they have not yet kicked us off of their platform. And if you like the audio only version, so if you're driving around or you're doing the housework or whatever, and you just want to hear the interview, then you can go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, click the On Demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content.
Darling.
All of the episodes we have there. And if you click the guest tab, you'll see photos and bios and links to all the works of all of the guests that we've ever had on. It is a tremendous resource. And when you spend time there, we don't hate that.
No.
Right? Okay. So as Danny said, we do wrap the show up with a reminder and a plea to please pray for our nation, pray for our world. We are becoming a smaller and smaller globe. I think people are more closely connected than they've ever been before because of the internet, because of these abilities that technology gives us.
And so we'll pray for all of our politicians not to woke up, but to wake up, right? To wake up and
That's
realize what's going on in the world today. They have the power to change this and fix it.
Yeah.
They have the power to do that.
Mhm.
So we should be praying for that.
Absolutely. Pray for
Even the ones you don't like.
Even the ones you don't, especially the ones you don't like, right?
Yes, double prayers.
Double prayers. All right. Be good to each other. Have a great week and God bless.
Bye-bye.